Hey, Jonathan. Hope you are doing well. I love that you sent me this plan. Thank you so much. I'm just going to dive right into my thoughts. So, first things first, I think overall it's a really cool plan. I really like that there's a little powder room on this floor and that you can have this whole hallway here, this walkway that's sort of separate from the person's unit, and that there is a little powder room here. I think if this garage is sort of part of this person's entire place, then that makes a lot of sense. I think it's just a matter of clarifying it. If it's not, if this garage is for the actual homeowner who lives in the main house, are they walking through here? Do they have access? Is this their powder room? There's just some questions there, but I think having the powder room there is a great spot for it. And then absolutely same for the mechanical room. I think that's a great little spot. And then you've got this long hallway here. I will get to this part in a second, but overall, I like that there's this entryway for this side and that you can get into the main unit by going through this door here. So that is great. And then on the second floor, I think when you walk up the stairs, I think this layout makes a lot of sense for having the main bedroom here. It's an ample closet. The washer dryer being here and this little cabinet is great. I think it's super functional to have all of the main sources of laundry right here. The bathroom looks great. I'm not clear on if this is a bathtub or a shower. I noticed it's just under 4 foot, like it's 4'7", so it's not quite big enough for a standard bath. So I'm assuming it's just a shower, which in that case is fine. So I think this is a great bathroom. There's not a lot of storage here, but I'm sure you can figure that out with vanity and that to make it a little bit more functional here. So my main change for this entire layout would be to swap this den slash office for the kitchen. So instead of having the kitchen sort of dining area, if you will, down here on its own as a, solo space, I would put this upstairs and make this the office. And that way, when the person comes in, okay, they've got this separate little office where it can be nice and quiet and private, even if they're the only person there. It's a separate space from someone else who might be, if they did have a person over or whatever, or they're a couple, then you could potentially have two separate office spaces, with one upstairs in the living room and then a separate one down here. This could also, because it's a big space, it could be the majority of the person's storage. So say they have bikes or anything else that they want to keep, it makes sense to have those on the main floor. And so if this was storage slash den slash office slash even spare bedroom, it makes sense to keep this on a separate level so that that person, whoever it is staying over, has some privacy. And then especially if this powder room was something that they could access, then what a great little unit down there for someone to stay over. So I think I would make more use out of this space than having the kitchen dining. And then because most people want the kitchen dining connected to their living room anyway, right? That way they would have this one big open space. This wall could be cut back or removed entirely right back to here where the stairs are. And actually you could even make this railing to make it more open if you wanted to, which would be cool, or you could leave the wall there. It's just a preference. But then this whole area would be kitchen, similar layout to what you already have, and then opening up into the living room. It would mean that because you wouldn't need this wall and this door here anymore, whatever light comes in here could go all the way through here, and you potentially could get away without this skylight if you wanted to save some money, even though I think the skylight's a lovely feature, so I would keep it. But in case that was an issue, then a lot of that light would flow through. So I think that's what I would do up here. In terms of the actual layout of the kitchen, here's what I would do instead. So let's go over here. So this is the actual width of the space according to your blueprints. So we've got the total width being 9.8, I think. So I would have you've got a little filler piece here, so you can have your fridge and the door would actually open. So this is a 3-inch filler, and then here there's enough room for a 24-inch fridge. Now I'm not 100% sure on the sizes, so you'll have to double check this, but I believe that those sort of like condo sized fridges are 24 inches wide. So pending that confirmation, I'm pretty sure that would fit in this spot. So it's 2 feet for the fridge plus 3 inches for the filler plus an extra quarter to have on either side, to have that little gap to get it in and out should do it. So then you get up the fridge, and then you got your cover panel here. And then over here, you can have just a little bit of space, just lower cabinetry. And then you can have a full size range here, which is going to be great. Next to it, you could fit in an 18-inch dishwasher, which would be really, really cool. I used to have one of these in one of my condos and it was fantastic. It was only 18 inches wide. I don't know where they got it from, but it was really great to be able to have, even in a very small space, to have a dishwasher, right? And just so that when you do have more than one person over, you can fill that up. And it was really handy. And then you've still got a 30-inch cabinet for the sink. On this side, so you've got 36-inch walkways on either side, which is fine because, there's probably not going to be more than one person cooking here, maybe two for the most part. So 36 inches is pretty ample. You wouldn't want to go any lower than that, obviously, but 36 could be fine. And then you've got all of this extra space for just lower cabinetry drawers, which is going to be fantastic for this space. So what did I measure? This is, we don't want that. We want to do this to here. So that is 6'10". That's a huge peninsula. And I made it a peninsula because this is a lot better use of space than having making a U shape or a C shape, whichever way you look at it, because you lose all those corner cabinets and it's really just not efficient. So in a very small space, having this is better so you avoid those corners. So this way you've got this all is going to be drawers, which is going to be tons and tons of storage. You'll have uppers up here. And this is going to be a very, very functional kitchen. You've got 4 inches here, which is you may not need, but if you wanted to run wiring through for your having outlets on the back of this side, both sides for when guests come over, they want to plug in their phones. That's kind of a great thing to do there. So you've got a little channel there for wiring should you want it, or toe kick lighting, any of those fancy schmancy things. And then you've still got overhang here. 14 inches is plenty. So you could shrink this if you don't need the channel here for electrical. But if you do want to have that box there, then you kind of need that space. So it's not getting in the way of your full 24-inch cabinetry here. So then you've got your overhang. But again, you could shrink this if that was going to be an issue, but it's not really going to bleed over into the space because what I have here from this wall to the edge of this countertop, that's 8'8". And what you have here is 8'7". From wall to the edge of this wall. So it's basically the same. The countertop would come to here and then you would just have the stools sticking out right here, which is still fine because you've still got a fine living room space. So that's the dimensions of the kitchen. Just to get a quick elevation to show you what it would look like, it could be something like this. So we've got the fridge here. You've got a little upper cabinet because why not, with your little lower cabinet here for storing things like pans and like sheet pans and stuff. You've got your range with your hood vent, which could be a built-in one into the cabinetry, or you could have a freestanding one, totally up to you. And then you've got your dishwasher here, and then you've got your double cabinet door, sink cabinet, and so these are all standard sizes, which is fantastic. A regular cabinet here. And then over here, because this is over top the sink and the sink is right in the corner, which is never ideal, but since it is, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before. Let me go and find it here on Instagram. Okay. So this is a really, really cool thing. Leslieville Kitchens is someone I work with for kitchens, and they're fantastic. But anyway, they custom built this mechanism here so that this is where they can dry dishes, which I think is a really, really cool and innovative concept for small kitchens. Why not just have everything drip, dry, and drain right over top of the sink? And then you could just close the cabinet doors. You're still getting airflow up through the vents, and whoever this person is can just have their dishes drip dry there for whatever stuff they do end up hand washing. So I think this is a really, really cool concept, and would highly recommend it for this space. So that is what I would have over the sink, and you could close it up and you wouldn't even know it's there. So that's what that would look like. I think that is what I would do. It takes up the same footprint, and actually the person's getting more office space downstairs, and they're not actually getting a smaller kitchen, which is interesting. I think the way it works is because here you've got to have this sort of dead space under here just for accessing the stools. But here it's not dead space because it's just part of the living room. So you don't, even though the spacing takes up the same amount, it's not wasted up here. The only downside of this plan is that obviously you have to bring appliances up one flight of stairs, which, is kind of a pain, but you're going to do it presumably once, assuming nothing breaks, and you have to do it multiple times. And the person is going to bring up their groceries up here as well. But then you're going to have a much more functional open plan space. Also, your plumbing back here is connected right to your bathroom. So from a plumbing perspective, it's going to cost you less because you don't have it's right there. So your stack could presumably go right down here, or I don't know what the plan is for that, but it's all your plumbing is going to be right here, which is really cool, instead of having it sort of more down here on the other floor. So what else? I think you've got amply wide stairs, which is good. One thing to note for you when you're making decisions is do not have any stair nosing here. Be very, very careful. I mean, to not have your flooring on this floor. The stair nose can sometimes go over by even a couple of inches, which is going to impact how close your handrail can be, unless you put the handrail on this side, but still it will shrink the overall width of your stairs if the flooring nosing juts out too far. So be very, very careful. Try and make sure they align it to almost exactly where the drywall will be, so that it doesn't have an overhang, because otherwise, that can screw you and take away valuable inches that you'll need for getting appliances up and down. Anyway, I think it's an overall great layout. You can have with this new setup, you can have a couch here, sort of sticking out this way and facing the TV, which could be over here. And you've still got lots of space for table and whatever else. And you could tuck in a desk back here if you needed that extra desk space, because it's just right in front of the window, which I think is a really cool little spot to have a desk as well. Anyway, I hope that helps. I think overall the plan is good. It's just swapping those two internal pieces, which would be a really easy change to make and would improve a lot of things, I think. So hope that's helpful. Hope you're doing well, and we'll talk to you soon.